I'll never forget hearing about what happened to Henry Walker. Henry's a 75-year-old black man, a retired Air Force colonel living in St. Louis, a quiet man, the kind who still shines his shoes every morning, who waves to every neighbor, who takes pride in keeping his little front yard neat. People on his street love him, the kind of neighbor who checks your mail when you're on vacation, who helps shovel snow without being asked. One Saturday afternoon, Henry was driving home from the grocery store. He had just picked up steaks and corn for a family barbecue. His daughter, her husband, and his 2 grandkids were coming over. He was excited. He always made sure to plan everything just right. As he approached a 4-way stop a few blocks from home, he slowed carefully, looking both ways. Just as he was about to cross, out of nowhere, a white SUV sped through the cross street, ignoring the stop sign. Henry slammed the brakes, but it was too late. The SUV clipped his front passenger side hard, sending his car skidding slightly. His heart pounded, the airbag exploded in his face, and for a few seconds, everything was a blur. When Henry gathered himself, he slowly opened his door, pressing a hand to his chest to steady his breathing. His first thought, thank God no one was hurt. But before he could even check, the other driver, a young white man, maybe early 30s, in a flashy shirt and sunglasses, jumped out, furious. "You just wrecked my car, old man. Do you have any idea how much this is going to cost? You're finished. I'll take you for everything you've got." Henry, still catching his breath, tried to speak. "Sir, you ran the stop sign." "Save it!" The young man snapped, laughing cruelly. "You think they're going to listen to you? You probably can't even remember what you had for breakfast, old-timer." Neighbors were already stepping out of their houses, hearing the shouting. A few started recording on their phones. One woman called the police. Henry stayed calm. Military training teaches you that. You don't react to the yelling, you stay steady. The police arrived. The young man immediately rushed over, waving his arms. "Officer! Officer! This guy slammed into me out of nowhere. He's confused. Look at him. He shouldn't even be driving." Henry waited quietly, hands folded. When the officer approached, Henry calmly handed over his license and insurance. That's when the neighbor with the doorbell camera stepped forward. "Officer, I have footage," she said. "It's all on here." Another neighbor with a dash cam from his parked truck spoke up. "Same here." The officer reviewed the footage on the spot, and the young man's face turned pale. The video showed it perfectly. The white SUV had blown through the stop sign without even slowing down. Henry had done everything right. Then the officer noticed Henry's ID. "Colonel Henry Walker?" he said quietly. Henry nodded. There was a flicker of recognition in the officer's face. Henry was well known in the community, not just as a veteran, but as a man who dedicated his retirement to helping mentor young people, giving talks at schools, and volunteering at the local veteran center. But the young man, he wasn't done. Even after the evidence, even after the police report, he filed a claim against Henry, threatening legal action, convinced that an old man wouldn't fight back. But Henry didn't fight back with anger. He fought back with truth. In court, the tension was thick. The young man swaggered in with his lawyer, whispering and smirking, thinking this was a slam dunk. Henry arrived quietly in a neat suit, his military medals pinned on his chest, supported by members of the community who came to stand by him. The judge, a former military man himself, raised an eyebrow when he saw Henry enter. The videos were played. The young man's lawyer tried to object, but the judge shut it down. "Clear as day," the judge said. "Defendant ran the stop sign." The young man's face fell, but it wasn't over. The judge, visibly frustrated, turned to the young man. "Not only are you liable for the damages, but you knowingly filed a false claim. You wasted this court's time. There will be penalties." The courtroom was silent as the judge read the ruling. Henry sat quietly, hands folded, his face calm but resolute. Afterward, the judge came down from the bench, personally shook Henry's hand, and said, "Thank you for your service, Colonel." Outside the courthouse, a reporter asked Henry how he stayed so calm through everything. Henry smiled faintly and said, "When you know who you are, you don't need to prove anything. The truth does that for you." And you know what stayed with me all these years? It's that quiet strength. Because real strength isn't about shouting the loudest or threatening the hardest. It's about knowing your worth and letting the truth speak when the time comes. Henry Walker reminded all of us that day, never underestimate